In 1929, a theologian stumbled onto a centuries-old map tucked away in Istanbul. The fragment was dated 1513 and signed by an Ottoman admiral, detailing a coastline no European was supposed to know. 300 years before Antarctica was officially discovered, this chart may depict its ice-free shore, compiled from 20 even older sources. If true, the Piri Reis map does not just challenge world history, it threatens to rewrite it. The real story begins with the artifact itself. Deep within the Topkapi Palace, stacks of forgotten manuscripts lined the shelves as Gustav Deismann worked through the archives in October 1929. Among the dust and disorder, a single sheet caught his attention, thick, supple, and unlike common paper. Later examination identified the material as gazelle-skin parchment, a prized medium reserved for important documents in the Ottoman Empire. The fragment measured nearly 1 meter across, its surface marked by compass lines, faded pigments, and the unmistakable signature of an admiral, Piri Reis, in the year 1513. Conservators moved quickly to verify its authenticity. Under magnification, the ink revealed a distinctive oak gall composition, matching the chemical profile of other Ottoman manuscripts from the early 1500s. Multispectral imaging exposed no signs of modern retouching or hidden layers. It showed only the original hand, working with iron gall and natural pigments. Protein analysis confirmed the parchment's origin, gazelle collagen, consistent with rare, high-status mapmaking practices of the era. Radiocarbon dating of microsamples placed its creation squarely in the early 16th century, with a margin of error of just a few decades. What began as a neglected fragment on a library shelf had become a certified artifact of the Age of Discovery, its physical evidence beyond dispute. Cartographers in the 20th century examined the lower edge of the Piri Reis map and found a puzzle that defied explanation. The coastline curving beneath South America bore a striking resemblance to the sub-glacial outline of Queen Maud Land in Antarctica, a region hidden under more than a mile of ice. Careful overlay with seismic profiles from the 1949 Norwegian-British-Swedish Antarctic expedition revealed that the map's contours align with surprising precision, matching stretches of the buried Antarctic coast. Yet, by every accepted record, no human set eyes on Antarctica until 1820, 3 centuries after Piri Reis signed his name to the gazelle-skin parchment. The map's southern landmass appears where only open ocean was supposed to exist, and the details fit a world before the ice cap. The Queen Maud Land match raises a question that no ordinary explanation can satisfy. How could a navigator in the early 1500s chart a coastline that modern science only uncovered through deep ice surveys? The contradiction stands, measured in kilometers and centuries, between what the map shows and what history allows. The artifact's authenticity is not in doubt, only the possibility of its content. This fragment does not just survive the centuries, it threatens to rewrite them. Piri Reis left more than just coastlines and compass roses on his map. Along the margins he wrote a series of notes in Ottoman Turkish, describing his methods and the materials he used. In one of the most revealing inscriptions he explained that the map was not drawn from his own voyages, but assembled from about 20 earlier charts and world maps. He listed 8 ancient Greek sources, 4 recent Portuguese charts, an Arabic map of India and China, and a map attributed to Columbus, captured from the Spanish in the early 1500s. He claimed some of these originals were as old as the time of Alexander the Great. Yet none of these source maps survive today. No catalogue or archive in Istanbul, Lisbon, or Seville has produced a single fragment that matches Piri's description. The only evidence is his own handwriting, preserved on the gazelle skin. The implication is striking. The impossible detail at the map's southern edge might not be a product of Ottoman exploration, but knowledge passed down, copied, and reworked from lost charts, possibly the last echoes of a seafaring tradition now vanished. Each annotation on the map pushes the mystery further back in time, raising the possibility that the coastline in question was known, charted, and then forgotten long before the Age of Discovery. Charles Hapgood, a history professor in the 1960s, stepped into the debate with a theory that challenged everything known about ancient navigation and the age of the map sources. Instead of seeing the southern landmass as a cartographer's mistake, Hapgood argued that the Piri Reis map preserved a memory of Antarctica as it looked thousands of years before the first European explorers reached the continent, at a time when the coast was free of ice. He studied the map's projections and compared them to seismic surveys from the 1949 Norwegian, British, Swedish Antarctic expedition. The alignment was close enough, he believed, to suggest a direct connection. According to Hapgood, only a civilization with advanced seafaring and mapping skills, living more than 6,000 years ago, could have charted a coastline now buried beneath the Antarctic ice cap. Hapgood's method involved reprojecting the map's coordinates and overlaying them with modern geological data. The result, in his view, was unmistakable. The Piri Reis map showed a landform that matched Queen Maud Land before it was swallowed by ice. This claim extended the mystery far beyond Ottoman or even medieval sources. If Hapgood was right, the map pointed to a lost chapter in human history, preserved against all odds on a piece of gazelle-skin. Charles Hapgood, convinced that the Piri Reis map preserved a memory of an ancient, ice-free Antarctica, sought an outside verdict from the US Air Force Aeronautical Chart and Information Center in 1960. He mailed enlargements of the map's southern coastline, highlighting the stretch that appeared to mirror Queen Maud Land's buried shore. The reply came from Lieutenant Colonel Harold Z. Ohlmeyer, a senior officer at Westover Air Force Base. Ohlmeyer did not hedge his language. He wrote that the geographical detail in the lower part of the Piri Reis map agrees very remarkably with the results of the seismic profile made across the top of the ice cap by the Swedish-British Antarctic expedition of 1949. The Air Force's own seismic data, gathered just over a decade earlier, matched the contours drawn in 1513, at a time when the real coastline lay hidden under more than a mile of ice. Ohlmeyer admitted that modern science could not explain how such knowledge might have existed. He wrote that the US Air Force had no idea how the data could have been obtained. The letter offered no theories, only the acknowledgement that the map's southern edge reflected a reality confirmed by 20th century technology. For Hapgood and his supporters, this was the closest thing to institutional validation, a technical authority stating in writing that the impossible detail was real and that no one could account for it. Professional cartographers have long questioned whether the southern landmass on the Piri Reis map truly represents Antarctica at all. Their analysis starts with the shape and placement of the coastline. Instead of seeing a hidden continent, many experts argue that the feature is simply an exaggerated extension of South America, bent sharply eastward to fit the available parchment. This kind of distortion is not unusual in early 16th century maps, where navigators struggled with limited knowledge of longitude and often relied on guesswork to fill in unknown spaces. The absence of the Drake Passage, the stretch of ocean separating South America from Antarctica, raises another red flag. On the Piri Reis map, the land appears as a continuous mass, with no indication of the wide, stormy waters that define the modern southern tip of the continent. Critics point to this omission as a sign that the map's lower section is not an ancient record of Antarctica, but rather a misinterpretation or copying error from earlier charts. Further doubts arise from Piri Reis's own annotations. Near the mysterious coastline, he describes the region as very warm, with short nights and heavy dew. These notes match the climate of southern Brazil or Patagonia, not the frozen expanse of Antarctica. The animals and plants illustrated in this part of the map also suggest a temperate environment. For skeptics, these details indicate that the so-called Antarctic coast is a blend of known geography and the cartographer's imagination, shaped by the limits of his sources. The theory that the Piri Reis map records lost knowledge from an ancient seafaring civilization remains unproven. Instead, the evidence points to the familiar challenges of navigation and map-making in a world still being explored. Today, the Piri Reis map remains locked away. Its origins are still disputed, and its secrets remain unresolved. As satellite imaging reveals new truths beneath Antarctica's ice, ancient mysteries refuse to stay buried. History isn't always what textbooks claim. Sometimes the real question is, what knowledge have we already lost? Share your theories below.